The title of this book, The Truth or Tradition. It is written by our beloved brother, Dick York. We are in chapter 2 of this book. Chapter 2, Moses' Comment Forgotten. Chapter 2, Moses' Comment Forgotten. It was approximately 1450 BC when Moses stood in the midst of the Israelites camp and instructed them concerning the attitude they should adopt toward the deity of the Canaanite, whom they were about to displace from the land of promise. You shall destroy them, make no covenant with them, neither shall thou make marriage with them, for they shall turn away your son from following me. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. Thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altar and break down their image, and cut down their grove, and burned their graven image with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord their God. The Lord their God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. The testimony of Moses' life was one of obedience to God in these matters. Joshua too walked in Moses' footsteps. But among the people of Israel was the continual tendency to be attracted by the custom, tradition, and idol of the Gentile nation. Some 430 years after Moses' command, Solomon, that illustrious son of David, took Pharaoh's daughter, and he, as well as the people, sacrificed in the high places. Indeed, he loved many strange women of the nation, concerning which the Lord had said, "Ye shall not go into them." Solomon, in fact, built high places for the heathen god Shamos and Molech, as well as for many other pagan deities. Just as the dirty, wet coal of rope of the deck of that grubby little craft become inviting to our comfort-seeking body, so sin and heathen tradition become pleasant to our flesh. The more we adapt, the more comfortable we are able to be with what is unacceptable to God. The more we practice the tradition of the heathen, the more easily we own them as ours. The Israelites continue to do that for nearly 5 years after Solomon's time, without realizing that their embracing of paganism was the crash in the wall through which oozed the toxic corruption that finally suffocated them and triggered the demise. Solomon was the son of David. He is in some respect a type of Christ. His name means peaceful. During Solomon's reign, no enemy came against the nation of Israel, and prosperity was the order of the day. It is easy to understand why he is a picture of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the Prince of Peace. During the time of his reign upon the earth, Jesus will bring peace amongst the nation. However, having seen and acknowledged that we realize that only those aspects of Solomon's life constitute the typology of Christ. Other things in Solomon's life make us realize he was not the perfect king for Israel. It was he who initiated and maintained tradition that ultimately brought rent to the nation. It is recorded in the book of Kings in the Old Testament that the first order of Solomon's business when he came to the throne was to execute the judgment that David had pronounced upon his enemy within the kingdom. He will thereby establish his own throne in purifying the nation from enemy within. But there was a deeper enemy, one in this same by Solomon's wisdom, hidden in a dark and secluded fortress within the heart of King Solomon himself. 436 years prior to Solomon's reign, God had spoken through Moses while Israel was still a theocracy. When thou art come into the land which the Lord their God giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord their God shall choose. One from among their brethren shall thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not their brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord has said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wife to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. It shall be when he sit upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priest and Levite, and it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the day of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, and to keep all the word of his law and these statutes to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand nor to the left, to the end that he may prolong his day in his kingdom, he and his children, and in the midst of Israel. Even though it is recorded that Solomon wrote 3,000 proverbs and the book of Ecclesiastes, setting forth magnificent godly wisdom, it seemed doubtful he wrote a copy of the law. But if he did, it is evident he did not allow it to grip his heart. As a consequence, he, through his action, precipitated division in the kingdom, and the kingdom's ultimate decline into idolatry. In the book of Kings, we read that Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David. Meanwhile, the people sacrificed in high places because there was no house built into the name of the Lord in those days. And yet Solomon loved the Lord, and he walked in the statute of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burned incense in high places. Despite the fact that God had told Israel that their king should not return to Egypt to acquire horses or wealth, Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh and actually married his daughter, bringing her into the nation of Israel. However, it must have seemed that God was obvious to Solomon's error, because no judgment fell on him at that time. To the contrary, Israel seemed to be reaping the blessing of God because of Solomon. But one thing led to another over the period of his 40 reign. In 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1 to 8, we read that King Solomon loved many strange women together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, Zidonian, and the Hittite, of the nation which the Lord said to the children of Israel, Ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come into you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their God. Solomon cleaved into these in love.